Okay, alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira. We have discussed in the last two chapters why people have different languages and dialects because of their different social classes and different of their ethnic groups. Today, inshallah, we will talk about language and sex, which means why do men have different language than women? As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His Quran, in the Holy Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. So, as Allah created us, He created us with different languages and different tongues. Even of each single language, there are many different dialects. Here, inshallah, we will talk about three main ideas or questions, and then we will answer them, inshallah. The first question is, what's the difference between the words sex and gender? As Dr. Abdullah said, Peter Trudel have used sex in his second edition, while he changed it in this fourth edition to gender. The second question is, why do men and women have different language? Third question is, what are the differences between the language of men and women? First of all, what's the difference between sex and gender? Can anyone give me this answer? Can anyone participate?
Okay, somebody, I don't know. Probably, let's go to Maran. Okay? Go ahead, Maran.
Yes, good morning. For word sex, I think we were to biological differences, but for gender, it describes the characteristics that a society or culture related to society and culture.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Maran. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else who would like to comment on this as well? Well, thank you, Maran. Let's go back to Nadia.
Okay, that's true, Maran. Thank you. Sex means differentiation of the speech behavior between males and females related to physiological, neurological, and biological, while the word gender differentiation of the speech behavior between males and females related to socially constructed gender roles. Okay, first of all, as the writer Peter started in his fourth edition with giving us so many examples of different languages. The first thing he noticed, we noticed when we first think to meet a doctor or a teacher or a doctor in a college, we all, first of all, we think about his sex, whether he's female or male. Language do differ considerably in the extent to which sex differences are lexically. For example, in Arabic and German, you have to specify whether a friend is male or female, while in English, you don't. For example, in Arabic, I say صديقي or صديقتي, while in English, I say my friend. There is no, we didn't distinguish whether this friend is male or female. Also in French, we say cousin and cousin. So here we distinguish between this male or female, whether this cousin is male or female. In some languages, there are also, we may or may not distinguish between actor, actress, manager, managers, and in Arabic we have different terms and pronouns for males and females. For example, words like mudir, mudira, مسؤول, مسؤولة. We distinguish between these two genders. Also for pronouns, we say هي, هو, هذان, هاتان, هذا, هذه. So when we first pronounce this word or this pronoun, we distinguish whether we are talking about a male or female. In some languages, like Hungarian or Finnish, they have no sex marking on pronouns. For example, in Finnish, the pronoun han is we could relate it to he or she, so we can distinguish whether of this person is a male or female. In English, it has a sex marking only in the third person singular. As I said in the first example, like he or she. When we first pronounce the sex marking for third person singular, we notice that this person is a male or female. Human sex can also be indicated through the use of articles and adjectives, and it can be marked on verb forms in some Slavic languages. For example, in Polish, these two words are different from each other. For example, this phrase, he arrived, is different when we indicate it to a man, while the other word that has a, we mean she arrived. So in this language, there is an sex marking in the article or adjectives. The differences can happen lexically in all languages to an extent, like the phrase or the sentences, I am a happy woman and I am a sick man. The grammatical feature we have just been talking about can have the effect of requiring individual speakers to single not only the sex of people they are talking about, but also their own. Like the sentence I have just showed you, are sentences whose equivalence could occur in any language. In the languages of the world, there seem to be a number of possibilities for how this obligatory grammatical expression of one's own sex may occur. First one, it may not occur at all. In English and Hungarian, no linguistic way of telling their gender. For example, if a writer is writing something in his writing, I wrote this and this, he didn't mention his gender, unless they give their names or some other clues. Second one, it may occur through the use of adjectival gender marking, like I am happy in French. Use of adjectival gender marking, which is what a woman has to say, a special word that is different, I cannot pronounce it, is different from a male. Like I am happy, if a male is talking, we distinguish that it's from a male, while it's different for female. Third one, it may occur through the use of distinct gender-marked verb forms in the first person singular, like I arrived in Polish past tense. First person singular as in Polish past tense verb forms, a Polish man say a word that ends with en, while a Polish woman says this long word with it ends with an, as I arrived. So when a man is talking or writing and he say I arrived, we could distinguish whether if this person is a male or female. The fourth one, it may occur through the use of distinct first person singular pronoun. For example, in a New Guinea language, Lagala. For example, this pronoun one, like I for masculine, for a male, and none, which indicate to I for feminine. So all these examples that the author gave us here, he put it as an introduction in his 4th edition, while he omitted from his 2nd edition. In his 2nd edition, he just gave a short introduction and he discussed about the last 2 chapters. Okay, and from this point, he discussed or he indicates some ideas which was there in his 2nd edition. In American Indian language, palatalized dental stop means speech like Dajatsa, and palatalized filler stops women's speech like Kajatasta. Here we distinguish these 2 words means bread. We could distinguish whether this a male or female, because male used the palatalized dental stop ya, and women used ka, which is filler stops. There are some factors that may have been important in the development of gender differences, which we will see in these examples. For example, in Caribbean evidence, there is an evidence from 17th century. He gave us a quotation from 17th century, and it was it says the men have a great many expressions peculiar to them, while the women understand but never pronounce themselves. On the other hand, the women have words and phrases which the man never uses. So in this place, people use, men use some words that women never use. And this is the map of Caribbean. Caribbean is located between the North American and South American in the east. And also, he said for another quotation here, the man and woman did not speak different languages, rather they speak different varieties of the same language. The differences were lexical only. Here also he said, when the Caribs came to occupy the islands, these were inhabited by an Arawak tribe, which they, with the expressions of the women whom they married in order to populate the country. It is asserted that there is some similarities between the speech of the continental Arawaks and that of the Carib women. So there is some similarities. The linguist Otto Jusburns has advanced another explanation, as he suggests that sex differentiation in some cases may be the result of the phenomenon of taboo, as we discussed taboo in the first chapter. Can somebody tell me what does taboo mean? Go ahead, Abdullah.
Taboo is a prohibited topic or prohibited subject. You cannot talk about. It's something you cannot use in a community.
Sure, thank you. As we know, taboo can be characterized as being concerned with behavior which is believed to be supernaturally forbidden or as immoral to use, which Carib men use. So in this law, for example, it has been reported that a wife was not allowed to mention the name of her father-in-law or his brothers, and she might be put to death if she broken this taboo. So, for example, that the tabooed name contains the sound the. If any words that contain the sound the means it's forbidden for women to use it. The women is a question would not be able to use a word like amanzi. Amanzi means water, without converting it to a form without the taboo sound. So they have to convert it to a word amanzi instead of amanzi. In this case, gender dialects will appear because there should be some words or dialects for men and others for women. Okay, taboo is not the expression of linguistic gender differences. Taboo, however, is not a particularly good overall explanation of linguistic gender differentiation. First, it's not really clear how differences of the above type could come generalized to the whole community. The second reason is many of other non-lexical cases, it is quite clear that we are not dealing with taboo, which seemed to be disappeared at the time the research was carried out involved the phonological shapes of particular verb forms, like here an American Indian language, Kosati, a language of a Muscovian family. Phonological shapes of verb forms, for example, he is saying a male can pronounce it like cars and female will pronounce it with car. For this example, female form ends in a nasalized vowel, then the male form has non-nasalized vowel plus S. Only older women preserved the distinct forms, and the younger women and girls use the male forms. In Kosati, there is no taboo appear to be enforced. Here, taboo does not appear to be enforced in any of these cases. The two varieties of Kosati, for example, were learned from parents who were equally familiar with both and would correct children when necessary. If a small boy said cars, as I said in the above, the female will correct them. And say, you know, you must say cars. No taboo prevented her from saying these words. Sex differentiation in Darkhat Mongolian were backgrounded vowels like O and O in men's speech correspond to the mid vowels. Could you please, Doctor, explain these two vowels? Because I can't pronounce these back-rounded vowels, but these mid vowels. Can you help us, please?
I cannot pronounce them either. Just leave them as they are, okay?
Okay.
Although I had a chance to study under a very, I think she passed away, one of the best world phoneticians. Her name was Ruth Brent. When she could pronounce all sounds existing, probably, discovered, because she was among the best articulatory phoneticians in the whole world. But I cannot really pronounce these. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Okay, female forms appear to be older historically than the male form. In other words, it seemed that linguistic changes had taken place in the male variety. For example, in this area, Chukochi The female variety has intervocalic consonants in some words like na and ta, which are not present in male forms. For example, female can pronounce this word with the consonant na, and male does not have this consonant. The female variety is older than the male dialect. Therefore, women's speech is more conservative than that of men. And this area is, if you can see, it's between the Alaska and Russia on the other side of the earth. And this yellow point, it shows the chalky sea. Here we will talk about differences within English, American and Britain. There are some differences in phonetics, phonological, and grammatical. Sometimes we have taboo used and sometimes we don't have in these languages. For example, taboo may be involved in some way as it is more acceptable in their society for men to swear and use taboo words than it is for women. There is some evidence from Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand. There are some factors that shows us why there is differences in language between male and female, like we have talked before, because of their social classes, age, and ethnic groups. Okay, and women use a prestige accent standard variety than men do. And Abdullah has asked us why the author said why Arabic women does not have a standard accent, which I don't know why he said that. Maybe because Arabic we use standard language or dialects when we are in the social in schools and some institutions, but at home we use the other dialects. But he said here in Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, women use prestige accent standard variety than men do. Here he made he drew this table and said men are much more likely to say I don't want none than women are. Women are far more sensitive to that stigmatized nature of this grammatical feature than men. So as we can see here, male are using this expression in upper working class and lower working class, which the percentage are more than female do. In the speech of Detroit blacks, use a far higher percentage of non-prefocalic vowels. As we see in the table, female are using this prefocalic more than male do in upper middle class and lower middle class. In Norwich English, as we know, Norwich is a city in England. It was in the 11th century the largest city in England after London. So here people emerge the ing vowel, variable. For example, the word walking, and they pronounce it as walking. Women use a higher percentage of butter forms than men do. See, as we see here, male in lower working class and middle working class, they use this pronounce for ing more than the female do. In South Africa, for example, research has been carried out in the Transvaal, comparing the speech of English-speaking male and female high school pupils of the same age in the same town. Okay, for this table, I need a volunteer, a male volunteer to pronounce these vowels, 4 vowels. I will pronounce the girls vowel, and I need a volunteer to read the other vowel for boys. If you don't mind, please. For this, gate. For girls, they say gate.
Gate.
Okay, can't. Girls are more percentage. They pronounce it as can't.
Can't.
For out, the girls pronounce it out.
Out.
And then boys, girls pronounce it as boys. Sorry, boy.
Boy.
Yes, thank you. Here, the girls are using the more standard than male do, or boys. As we say here, the boys use non-standard local pronunciation. Gender differentiation found to emerge from social linguistics around the world in the past 30 years. Why should this be? Because of the working class culture in our society that men to be more disposed to non-standard linguistic form than women. Even this is one of the reasons why they have different language or dialects, because the men have because the working class speech is associated with the toughness and because of their working class life. The second reason, because many society expect a higher level of adherence to social norms, better behavior from women than they do from men. In England, Standard English and the RP accent have high prestige. There are another prestige which is covered prestige. This prestige or this covered prestige, which is not used in societal values of school and other institutions. There were a dialect survey of Norwich informs were asked to take part of an self-evaluation test in order to investigate what they believed themselves to say as opposed to what they actually did say. In this test, words were read aloud to the informants with 2 or more different pronunciation. For example, the word tune. It has 2 pronunciations, like first one, tune, and the second one is tune. And the first variety has the pronunciation as you, and tu, which both pronunciations are current in Norwich. The former being that the RP pronunciation having more prestige than the later. Also, for the vowel of the words ear, hear, idea, also there are different pronunciation of these words, like ear and air. In Norwich, the words top, hot, and dog can have a low back rounded vowel in an RP accent, like top, hot, dog, and an unrounded vowel like top, hot, dog, which we can see here. These sections for middle class and lower middle class, they have less non-prestige, while in upper working class, middle working class, and middle working class and lower working class, they have more prestige pronunciation here. In conclusion, gender differentiation arises because, as a social phenomenon, is closely related to social attitudes. Men and women are socially different because it lays down different social rules for them and expect different behavior patterns from them. Social attitudes have close connotation with importance of identity. And the last one is so that the differences were in the areas only of lexical, phonological, and grammatical variables.
So it's a matter of percentage. It's a matter of percentage that differences exist, and varies from one society to another. Okay, varies from one society to another. But we know even our societies, men and women may even say certain expressions that the other party won't use or feel hesitant to use, whether it's a form of a taboo that could be outside the realms of what we're dealing here as socio-linguistic variables, or part of our the features of our talk as men and women. Nadia talked about something very interesting. They raised this, many feminists raised the issue of sexist language. Okay? Like racist, they created the term sexist. And in these societies, yes, sexism exists because men and women are competing for the same role. In a society where men and women play different roles, they're not competing with each other. Everybody is doing his or her own role. While in such societies, no, there is a competition between men and women for the same role, And sexist language will appear, like a chairperson instead of a chairman. They don't use it because it sounds. The word is somebody calling himself chairperson. That person is a woman. Let's see. The word chairman for a long time had acquired a generic term. It has become a generic term that doesn't refer to a specific sex per se. Like in women, when they say, as you said, Nadia, friend, women get in trouble when they say this. No, it's not trouble, but it's a matter of how to explain. When you say, my friend, what do you mean by my friend? Okay, because in Arabic you could say my friend, صديقي ولا صديقتي, and واضح with 6 markers. But in English we don't have 6 markers. This is why they say, many women say my female friend, my female friend, instead my friend, because of the connotation that boyfriend has in that context. As a matter of fact, gender for a long time has been referred to as a grammatical category. You know what I mean by a grammatical category? In the sense, we have masculine, we have feminine, and we have neutral. Okay? In Arabic, we don't have neutral. We have either masculine or feminine. Kursi, masculine. Paula, feminine. And in some languages, like German, they do have, like Greek, while French, they have who and female. So they have men and women. They don't have, neutral. They don't have this thing, it. Okay. Although, as you mentioned, Nadia, and this is part of English grammar, we have all these gender differences with third person singular. Yes, in French we have with articles as well. Le and lu. But in some languages they have 16 genders, like in Swahili. Okay. This issue of gender was not social in the beginning, was not cultural, was grammatical, purely grammatical, because some languages do have these gender differences. Okay. she said something very interesting. Women speak a language of connection and intimacy. This is a generalization, but this is based on her research in general. Men speak a language of status and independence. Their communication can be like cross-cultural communication, you see, to the extent that saying when men and women communicate with each other as if they are communicating cross-culturally. A lot of research was based on that, especially in terms of social problems between husbands and wives, boys and girls, sons and sisters, sons and girls, sisters and brothers, in the context of business, because there is a lot of contact between men and women at different contexts. And this is something that Tannen has come up with. We may look at that. It might be very, very clear in such a society, but it may not be clear in another society.